welcome to you. We've got something very special today, really have, because the 24th of August will see the Paralympics start in Tokyo. And while we've had great success with the Olympians for the last couple of weeks, without doubt, a lot of focus will be on the athletes that will be wearing the green of Ireland in the different events and in their different classifications and categories over those 10 days or so. And from a Galway perspective, I use the word perspective a lot, but there really is a very strong Galway angle to all of this because we have got some fantastic athletes taking part. You've got Ronan Grimes, who's involved in cycling, another cyclist. I know Roscommon try and claim her, but she does live in Ballymoe, which I argue is inside the county of Galway, and that's Richael Timothy. And let's not forget Patrick O'Keefe either, who is from Cork, but again, we've claimed him because he's been living in Galway for quite some time, working with Inuit Galway, and he is involved in canoeing. There's also a couple of athletes from Sligo that I want to mention as well, and they are Patrick Flanagan in the swimming and Martin Gordan in cycling as well. So there's a good, strong Connacht connection, never mind Galway, to all of this, which gets underway in a very, very short space of time. And while all the excitement has been about the Olympians, and rightly so with their successes, our Paralympians have been incredible over the past number of years. Now, if I may use one example, Owen Clifford, of course, in Rio and his amazing success on the bike, but he is just one of many. And while a lot of the talk will be about the likes of Ellen Kane in swimming and Jason Smith, obviously, in athletics and other cyclists as well, it will be a very exciting time for athletes from the west of Ireland who are involved in the Paralympics and in a very strong Irish team. Also, I must mention the chef de mission, because you will see her to my, I suppose, right, if I get my angles correct, because not only is she the chef de mission, but she's also the sports director of Paralympics Ireland. And may I also add, she should be wearing a maroon jersey instead of a green one, because she's also from Galway, from Barna, that neck of the woods originally, now living in Moycullen. Neasa Russell, thank you so much for joining me. As we talk, the countdown well and truly underway. You'll be heading out in the next few days to get things organized, and there's a lot of preparation to all of this. So I suppose there must be a great sense of excitement, to use the sporting cliche, amongst the whole squad, everybody who's traveling.
Yeah, I think so. Well, thank you, John. Thanks for having me. I'm thrilled to be here and flying the flag for the West. There is quite a good, and actually between both Olympic and Paralympic teams, actually, we're quite well represented. Yeah, definitely getting excited now. We have been wading through all the paperwork and protocols and preparation. So actually, when we kind of lift our head above the parapet a bit, we can actually see Tokyo and the land of the rising sun as such. But yeah, getting very excited. I mean, I suppose this game is so exceptional in many fronts, and what's also exceptional is that actually as a team we will never have even congregated together, and nor even in Japan will we meet, for example, some of our cycling colleagues, because they're in a different place to us outside the Paralympic village. But yeah, we're definitely getting ready. I think downloading apps and getting all our travel documents and all that kind of stuff, PCR tests to beat the band. But yeah, we're definitely getting ready, and we've all got the new kit and things like that as well. So yeah, the excitement is building. I think we're ready to go now.
With all that excitement, there's also been a lot of logistical problems to overcome, because if it was a normal Olympic Games or Paralympic Games, you would have the logistical aspects of the bikes and the equipment. And, for some athletes, there's different things that have to be taken into consideration. I hate to use the word, but we have to. COVID raised its ugly head, and it has made things incredibly difficult. Obviously, you had the disappointment of last year, to overcome that it wasn't taking place. So the preparations have to go on for another 12 months, and all of that has to be taken into consideration as well. How difficult has that been to take all of that and make sure that everything was right for the athletes? Because obviously the last thing an athlete wants now is to test positive for COVID this close to the games.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Actually, I've only just been in the role for the last few months, but albeit it's been kind of things have been was fairly quiet over the winter in terms of just waiting to see what would happen. And I guess there's been a level of uncertainty with us, that kind of into the games. And even when I started, it was like, will we, won't we, should we, shouldn't we, can we, can't we, are we, aren't we? So even, so a huge amount has changed and built up over the last few months. And again, a lot of that was trying to soak up, I suppose, that uncertainty and allow the athletes just crack on and train. A lot of the athletes have had exemptions to train on, which we're enormously grateful for, because that will be, it's testament to where they are now and how they're progressing in their performances. But yeah, we've had a significant amount to work through. We've also had a lot of uncertainty within Japan itself in terms of, so the kind of organising committee, or TOCOG as it's called, would kind of hold court, if you like, over the games in the village itself. But we're going out for pre-training camps. And again, that was organised in non-COVID times to support the athletes to prepare, particularly for the heat and humidity, which are the big kind of performance elements out there that they will need to work through. But again, there's been a lot of uncertainty around whether those camps could go ahead, whether the prefectures would enable them, so on and so forth. So we've been fortunate again, and a lot has evolved and merged, many jigsaw pieces and puzzles. As I kind of frame it, Tokyo is the gift that keeps on giving. The moment is, as soon as you think you've got a decision or a piece of the jigsaw in, something changes or something moves. So there's been a significant amount of work. But again, from our perspective and our role as kind of a team, or a chef team, the kind of chef de mission team management team, really is to kind of just crack on in the background and work through all those elements and just give the athletes what they need to know. And the same with the sports as well. You want their focus just to be on what they can control, the processes that they execute. And we're the ones that need to do the 74 line risk assessment and scenario planning piece, which is what we've been working through. So yeah, there's a lot. And I guess as we get closer and closer to the games, we had like our kind of Olympic cousins, we've had a significant amount of protocols and playbooks and textbooks to work through. Fortunately, I suppose having the Olympics ahead of us in one sense has given us a little bit of lessons learned, and we've been able to really lean on our colleagues in the Olympic Federation to understand how the protocol is being implemented, what it means on the ground, how can we best keep our athletes healthy and safe, without kind of making it such a big thing that they get distracted and nervous about it. So there's a fine balance to where we are now, I think, in terms of being able to carry out the protocols, manage all the testing, we have daily kind of testing out there, all that kind of stuff. And what we're trying to do now is normalize that and get them into a place where, we're worried about the health and well-being stuff in the background. They just need to do X, Y, and Z. And, they're kind of, they have the responsibility and are clearly savvy enough to manage all the PPE and kind of day-to-day piece, but actually to shift the focus for them onto performance. And that, the COVID testing protocols just becomes part of day-to-day, like warm up, cool down, so on and so forth as well. So that's where we're striving to.
Did it? You had a major fundraising drive at the start of the year. # the next level. It's well worth looking up if you get an opportunity. And I'd say they wouldn't say no to a few quid anyway if it went in that direction, because obviously it costs an awful lot of money to send a team to Tokyo, and it costs a lot of money to have athletes prepare, and they had to be done to the best possible way. How did that go? I mean, it seemed to be going very well. Like Ellen Keane was involved in a big way, and we saw from the advertisements, and several other athletes got involved with the advertising, which seemed to take off and actually go viral in some cases. So it must be very happy with how that went.
Yeah, we were very pleased indeed. Again, a lot of that was as much about the profile of kind of bringing our Paralympians, our wonderful Paralympians, our athletes to the fore, and again showcasing them for the high performance athletes they are. They just happen to have a disability in the main, or elements like that. But again, what we're dealing with is high performance athletes, and again, a lot of what we're striving to do is kind of take that performance, the perception, the actual performance itself as well, and move it to kind of the next level in terms of actually that and that we're part of the high performance system, that we are Team Ireland, and that we're well able to perform on the international stage, which we have done through games and look to do going forward. I mean, the fundraising is really important. It enables us to prepare the athletes. So things like pre-competition training camps, selection events, we were still all doing that through the spring. And also, we work again with a number of other partners, commercial partners, and again, a huge amount of support, particularly around supporting the kind of the impact of the COVID again with Sport Ireland and the wider kind of high performance system here as well. So, we've been drawing on many pools and pots, if you like, to support the athletes. And we even have kind of a good partnership at the moment with the Olympic Federation in terms of how we work some of the testing with the Sports Institute. So again, they're really, we kind of go into these games, I feel like we're on that wave of so much support and effort and resourcing and investment and input into us. So it's really, it really is a privilege to be at this point. When you think of where we were even a few months ago, and goodness, we're still in a global pandemic. So we don't take that lightly, and it means an awful lot to us and collectively. And I say that because we've had the discussions as a wider team and support team and staff and athletes. Again, it means a huge amount that we're at a position where we can head to the games with good confidence around how we can support the athletes and hopefully progress their performances.
And actually, on that note, I mean, I was going to add the line, I'm going to add it, that this would be the best, shall we say, prepared Irish team ever for a Paralympic Games, and we've had great success. I mentioned, I mentioned a couple. I mentioned Ellen, obviously, and Jason Smith, like the reputation he has, and Owen Clifford from the Galway angle. But as we move to 2020. The demands are greater and the preparation is now greater for these athletes as well. So you must be very confident, because even just in the last couple of days and just in talking to people and in looking forward to it, you can sense an excitement, a buzz around this team, that they are going to go to Tokyo with one aim in mind, and that's to win medals. And there is no better opportunity than now, because they're so well prepared for it.
Yeah, I'd agree. And also it's such a, interestingly, a lot of competitions and again, you're right, people are progressing. And when we stand back and reflect, it'll be interesting around the time that people have had at home and had to train or maybe focus on different elements, but that'll all come in post-games piece. But it's working, whatever's happening. And again, that's a massive credit to the athletes themselves, their families, the coaching teams, the kind of clubs, communities that sit in behind those and has supported them through definitely some tricky times. But our athletes are always adaptable and always resilient, this gang. So yeah, they're ready. And also it's really interesting that the games, again, usually in a season and a run up, you'll have a lot of international competition. You'd know where your competitors are. You'd be meeting folk from the North America or kind of Asia or Africa. And we've only really had European competitions. It's been very difficult to travel across wider, or indeed events haven't even happened. So, going to the games, we have a huge opportunity and a real platform to actually, for the athletes to actually just really enjoy competition and tough competition, and hopefully just raise that bar for them. And again, using these games as an opportunity to baseline, but also, move themselves forward to that next level, to use the hashtag and phrase. But that is what we're trying to do. And our mission as a kind of a support team is very much around trying to create what we've called a supportive performance environment for them. So again, as you suggest, the groundwork done and preparing, that when we get there, we'll have as many things in place as we can. We've got the holding camps, a lot of, and we've had to work around an enormous amount of COVID countermeasures and chaperoning and specific times when we can do things and so on and so forth as well. But again, all designed and to as best we can to give those athletes that platform to perform and just to express themselves through the sport. And as we know, that the performances they do and how they how they go about what they do is such a testament to them and to that kind of wider community and group. And we see it in the Olympic side as well. It's such a buzz and excitement. And again, we're really building towards that as well, and getting really, really excited being able to showcase. I'm
looking at, I'm referring to my screen over here to my right as I'm looking, and you've got the opening ceremony on the 24th of August, as I mentioned, and then you're straight into action straight away. And I'm for anybody who wants to know, by the way, I'm going to give you this, the Times Irish Times for these events. From 1 o'clock in the morning on the 25th of August, you've got Richael Timothy in action in the individual pursuit, and you've Martin Gordan and Eamon Byrne as well. The swimming starts as well from 1 o'clock in the morning, and Nicole Turner, of course, is involved in that. And a fantastic swimmer with Barry McClements, Roisin Neary and Colin Judge in the table tennis. And that's just and I'm speaking of table tennis, of course, you look at likes of Ronan Rooney and those who represented Galway and Ireland with such great distinction as well. But one thing I noticed, Neasa, looking at the timetable, is how incredibly busy it is. I mean, I've been following the Olympic Games in Tokyo, and yeah, that's busy as it is. But the Paralympic calendar is incredibly busy, and it's going to be incredibly tight, making sure everything is right and in place and ready to go. And if I can use the cyclists for a minute, because if you think about it, Richael Timothy is in action on the 25th of August, a quick scan, then Ronan Grimes is in action on the 26th. They're in action again the 27th. That they've got the track and the road together between 3 or 4 days, that and then the following week. I want to mention George Dunleavy and Eve McChrystal, because obviously they're going to be seen as a big medal hope for Ireland, but they're all medal hopes. I mean, Greta Stimicike in the 1500 meters. It's really intense for those days. As I look at it, 12 days from opening ceremony to closing ceremony, that is as intense a sporting event as you're going to deal with.
Yeah, it is. I'm just looking at it there. I haven't even thought that far ahead yet. I'm still trying to get to Japan in my head at the moment. But yes, it is packed and it's busy. And you know what? But I just think, I think we'll be really able to kind of leverage off each other, and we'll all be in and around the village, and we've been meeting all the athletes over the last while, and they're really ready for this. Like, goodness bless them, they're so ready for it, and they'll be really well prepared. So we've actually got about 7 or 8 days in the village beforehand where they will be at training and stuff as well. So we'll be able to kind of ramp up and the momentum and the support to each of them as we go as well. But yeah, it's definitely busy. It's jam packed, and I mean the draw of the para sport is that it's different ways of doing the same sport, which I find fascinating. And the way the athletes will perform, the way they will adapt, again, it's huge. Kind of a huge breadth of human performance, which is just fascinating. So I'm dying to get going and getting to see these things as much as I can.
You mentioned something a couple of minutes ago, and if I kind of go back to that for a second, because the opening ceremony is obviously on the 24th of August, but you said that a lot of the team won't actually get a chance to meet. So what is the situation with the opening ceremony? It won't be like previous years. Will it be something like what happened with the Olympic Games, where maybe just a handful were there to kind of fly the Irish flag and God forgive me for saying this, go through the motions, which is pretty much, to be fair, probably the only way of doing it. And the whole team won't get a chance to actually be out there. And also, flag bearers, what's the situation with that? Can I ask that question for start?
You can, but I'm not going to be able to give you an answer, I'm afraid, at the moment. We're still working through that one, in truth. So it's a little bit of who's actually going to be there, because people will be coming into the village at different points. Yeah, we're still working on that out. The opening ceremony itself, I believe we can only have 6 people at it from the team, so it'll be very representative. And indeed, usually kind of any of the athletes that might be performing the next day or two usually step out and not travel to it. But yeah, it will be quite limited. And even indeed the closing ceremony, again, some of the COVID restrictions are that as soon as the events finish, that within 48 hours the athletes need to leave the village. So we actually have people flying home quite early. So yeah, we have kind of over that 2 to 3 week period in the venues, we will have, I think I calculate there's only 2 days where we'll have an overlap with all of the team in the village at the same time. And indeed our cycling are actually towards Mount Fuji, so aren't even in the Paralympic village anyways. So it's quite exceptional. I think there's going to be a good Christmas party. Maybe that's what we're thinking about.
That'd be one hell of a Christmas party. Moving to if I was to try and go through the whole team, I'd be here all day, because it's quite a very, very large team. Plus, I know I kind of gave away one of the athletes as regards the athletics side of things, but I don't think you've actually officially confirmed that yet. But, and I apologise now, but we all knew she was going to be in it anyway, so I'm not really speaking out of school. But there are some great athletes overall in all different disciplines, and you must be very confident that you're going to come home with a few medals as well.
Yeah, I mean, like I mentioned earlier, from a kind of a current competition perspective, it's a bit tricky because actually athletes haven't been up against the rest of the world, if you like, over the season. However, I guess what we can take good confidence is in their previous performances and the fact that, they are performing and they are progressing. We've had a good lot of kind of PBs through the athletics team, swimming, cycling, and a lot of the other athletes, again, kind of making some good performance gains. And I guess that's what we have to take our focus on, and again, look at progression, look at personal bests, and we know that's coming now at the right time. So albeit we don't have a competition or kind of a ranking marker that's contemporary going into the games, we take good confidence in the previous performances, but also more to the point where those athletes are now and how they're ready to kind of how they're preparing and how they're currently performing domestically, to take good confidence going into the game. So yeah, we hope we will have medals. We think we will. We think we'll also have a lot of memorable performances. And I guess that's, where we are in these games, that's what's going to be really important.
What about I suppose, keeping up to speed with results? I remember 4 years ago, and I don't know whose fault it was, but it was actually quite difficult to kind of keep up to speed because of the way things were going. Rio was bad. London was worse. I mean, there has been a lot more work done as regards the Paralympic movement worldwide to make sure that people are watching what's going on, that people are staying up to speed with what's going on, and that they're getting to find out the results as soon as possible. I suppose we can look forward to that. I know you have a guy there, Colin, who's been absolutely brilliant. In fairness to him, he's been organising. We got this together as a result of a direct tweet I sent to him. I mean, it's going to be great for people to know what's going on with their athletes as well, especially the guys like in Galway and in Ballymoe, great little village on the border. It's such a big deal for them. Somebody who played football with Roscommon inter-county level, she's from the St. Crohn's Club. I have to get that in because I'm at Linscoman, which is the next village over. So I've done that now. But see, I jest slightly. It's going to be great for people to stay up to speed with what's going on with the athletes throughout the games.
Yeah, I think it's a really good point. And, I guess we want to make sure that we can tell a compelling story about the performances and how the athletes are doing. So actually interesting, our kind of comms manager is another Galway man, Derek Kneavy from Roscommon. So we can ping him.
A legend.
So, yeah, we're in that kind of funny. So Colin, actually, as you suggest, Colin's actually going to come into the village with us and in bed with us, so that he's actually part of our bubble, and he will be able to get the athlete commentary and so on and so forth as well. And we'll have Derek on the outside as such. And we will have RTE there as well. And we also have a lot of photographers and freelance journalists with us as well. So we're really motivated to tell the story. We have, I suppose, when you think in the last 5 years how much Twitter has come on and social media, so we'll be absolutely using that to the best of our ability. But yeah, keen to get the results out and the performances out. I mean, that there will be really good performances, and I think as soon we get into that buzz and excitement and all the masks are put away and folk are just there ready to kind of showcase themselves through whatever sport that they're at, that we want to be able to tell that story and share that. And we're really proud to be going. We're really privileged, and we want to put smiles on people's faces, and that's a big aim for us.
No pressure, Derek, by the way. For those, I know a few journalists will be watching this and they'll be going, "Oh, that's where he went." People may be aware of Derek. He was involved with ladies Gaelic football for quite some time before he moved to Paralympics Ireland, and he's one of the good guys. He really, really is. So we're looking forward to a load of stuff coming in every single day throughout the games. You've been warned, Derek. You have that's a request.
You hate to me now when I talk.
That's a promise, not a request. But seriously, I mean, that's the one thing, and it's the great thing about the Paralympics has been the increase in coverage. The fact that you have people like, if I can say, someone like Michael McKillop, for example, or someone like Jason Smith, guys who kind of broke the fourth wall, if I can use that particular term, as in they're not Paralympians, they're sports people. And we saw this from, I think it's Gabriel Cronin back in Sydney in 2000, or athletes who just completely, absolutely went through the ether and became household names, not because they were Paralympians, but because they were brilliant at what they did and they succeeded. And that's one thing that we've seen this year, and we're seeing now, is the amount of athletes that have become household names, Neasa, and it's fair to say because of how good they are. And I think that's why there's so much excitement and anticipation about these games for them.
Yeah, I agree massively. And I'm really excited for them and really chuffed to be part of the team and being able to support them do what they need to be doing. And I think also, again, what I'm really pleased about a change over the number of years is the real strong evolution and emergence of the athlete voice, and how important it is. If this is their identity, this is their performances, this is the way they express themselves through sport. And, we really want to hear that and see it. So I think, the whole kind of background of the athletes, the way they're performing, they are high performance athletes. They are training every day, twice a day, 3 times a day. So as you suggest, they're sports people, they're high performance athletes, and this is a great platform for them, and also for a broader piece around inclusion in sport, but also, that actually, that it works, and organizations can support this. The IPC again is again, like, I would suggest again has kind of made huge strides again in terms of being able to support the athlete voicing, and we've had super examples from the Olympics, I think, in terms of like the way they've been able, athletes much more freer speaking around, for example, mental health. It's really powerful platforms, and again, really, really looking forward to seeing what the athletes can do and how they approach it. And indeed what they share about their performances and what goes into it, and as much as and I'm sure we'll hear plenty again from them after games too as well. But I'm really pleased about the athlete voice being much more centre stage, and because that's who it's about. that's who we want to celebrate.
I have a final question before we go, and that is, if people actually want to get in touch or maybe pass on goodwill messages to the team, can they do that? Because they're over in Japan. It's not as if they're in London and you fly over in an hour. It's a nice distance away, and it's always great to get that kind of support from their friends and their families, and from sports supporters right around the country if they're involved in an event. And can I pick one just off the top of my head here? If I use Ronan Grimes, for example, he's in the C4 C5 1,000 meter time trial. That's on the 26th of August. That's after 1 o'clock in the morning, that goes all the way through. But I'm using him as an example. But if people want to pass on that message to these guys and wish them the best of luck, is there a way they can do it?
Yeah, probably the most direct and immediate one is through Twitter. We've got at Paralympics IRE. So if they just look out Paralympics, and the same, we're kind of active clearly across the platform and the channels. And we also have an email through info@paralympics.ie. So again, we're definitely keen to pick that up. And again, just tweet us, retweet us. And again, we'll get those messages worked through and transferred through without a doubt. We'll need them out there. I think I think we have something like a 30-hour journey as it is. And then we're 8 hours out of sync, or depending which way you're looking at, I guess. But yeah, we would definitely, and we're away for some of the athletes will have been away for the guts of 5 or 6 weeks. We'll be away as a support team ourselves for 4 weeks. So we'll definitely be ready for all those kind of messages. And again, even what we've seen already from the response of when we've put out the team, it's really, really cool, really heartening. And again, there's a real strong purpose to what we're doing. And again, those messages of support and again, really, really see us through. And it kind of, we feel we're going on a wave, which is really important.
And hopefully one hell of a party when they come back with medals, medals around their neck. Neasa, I really appreciate this, because I know that you are extremely busy getting everything ready, and it's been so good to talk to you. The very best of luck to you as chef de mission. I was going to mention the fact that this is your first games, because you've still got Paris to come. You're involved for that, and you're involved with Los Angeles in 28, but that's a little bit down the road yet. But look, to yourself, the team, to everybody involved, we wish you the very, very best of luck. Here's hoping we get loads of medals coming back from the Paralympics in Tokyo. We will be updating people. As soon as we have the information, we'll be spreading it out as well amongst the athletes, especially the Galway West of Ireland athletes throughout the games. And we hope that they come home to the kind of welcome that the girls got when they came home after the rowing. And there was some crack in Moycullen, I believe, with Africa going back. And Fiona Murta, that's what you call that's what you call a homecoming. And we hopefully will get more of the same in a couple of weeks' time. Neasa, thanks so much for joining me.
My pleasure. Thank you for your time. Thanks, John.
Playing music you love. Go with